Welcome, everyone, to Davis, West Virginia, 1914, the highest incorporated town east of the Mississippi, a thriving metropolis of some nearly 2,000 souls who make their way on the basis of logging and trapping and mining and extracting what they can out of the ancient earth that surrounds them. Things have been going pretty well for the past couple of years, but all of this greed has taken a toll on the land. Just south of Davis is the Blackwater Canyon. Used to be a great hunting ground and rich in flora and fauna. It has been stripped bare and is now currently on fire, by which I mean the very earth itself has been burning for months. To the north and east of town is the Canaan Valley, an area of wilderness so thick that even the Native Americans who walked these lands for centuries never stepped in. It's the kind of place that is so thick in the undergrowth with rhododendron and laurel that a man could take just a few strides from his camp and be lost forever. It's also a place where the bears and the timber rattlesnakes are not necessarily the most dangerous creatures that you can find in these woods. It is a place where ancient things slumber beneath the mountains, where the power of the forest itself seems to exert a will that is not necessarily always super friendly to the people who have made this place their home, but can be bargained with if you're willing to pay the price. Speaking of the residents of Davis, West Virginia, let's introduce a few of them. Let's start out with Mora. Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, Mora is a sage. She's from West Virginia, maybe close by to Davis even. And she travels where the world calls her. She does what she actually likes to do is more on in the order of spirit work or the sort of problems that people want some help with, the more mystical side of things. But she does odd jobs to make ends meet.
How about Annie?
Annie goes wherever the silly voices in her head tell her to go.
Is Annie, so Annie is a person of no fixed abode?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right.
Wherever Annie originated from is unknown, because when they were a child, or she found a shadowy being in which nobody ever believes that she did when she tells them. So, now she hears voices, and the voices are very nice, and the other people don't understand the voices, so it's cool.
I'm sure that won't be a problem.
Definitely not.
How about Cameron?
Cameron, born and raised in and about Davis. Most people would know his odd little shack just outside of town, and see him coming into town with his wheelbarrow full of herbs, tonics, bunch of glass bottles. You can get his the stuff that he goes out and collects in the forest at the doctor. He regularly supplies the doctor with the legitimate potions and herbs and tonics, and otherwise you can go out to his shack for the other stuff.
Oh, interesting. And Rick, who is not from Davis, right?
No, he's from Fredericksburg, Texas, which is a German community out there. But he became a musician, and he travels around the rail lines. He hops on the various carts, and he can get pretty far, so long as no private security manages to find him. He does keep a piece on him, so just in case things get dangerous. But he's not really a violent person. But he goes around town to town. He plays to various groups. he kind of reads the room first. It's like, is this a union town? And he plays union songs, and if it isn't, then he just plays regular folk songs. But otherwise, he does kind of get to know people, but only as much as you can from like from one night of hanging out and staying at various people's houses if they're feeling kind. And yeah, that's Rick Schlink.
And tell us a little bit about Irene.
Oh, Irene's from around Davis too. Knows Cameron, seen him around. She works at the butcher shop, used to work there with her husband, who tragically died from a logging accident and didn't run off with some lady and the vaudeville show up to Chicago. He definitely died. So everyone is very nice to Irene, and Irene's nice to them, treat her right, get you some extra meat for your dog off the bone, no problem. Business has been a little slow lately. Not too many animals around due to the fire.
Yeah, the hunters and trappers have, I mean, they're still deer. You just have to travel further past where they've clear cut. Or you have to be brave and venture to the north through the pass to the edges of the Canaan Valley. But it's the kind of thing that folks don't, they're kind of waiting on Babcock, the big lumber company, to finish laying in a new rail line so they can start logging properly, clear out some things up there. Everyone's kind of hopeful because the local supplies of deer and muskrat and beaver have been dwindling, still plentiful, but folks that are of a more superstitious mindset might have begun to feel a bit of a sense of impending doom as what they have used to survive and thrive seems to be slowly ebbing away. And some might think that the hills and forests are maybe a little angry at the way they've been treated. I mean, no modern person would obviously, no sophisticated Davistonian would think such things. But, there's a few yokels who live out in the hollers who, think that way. Is anyone particularly religious? By any, just out of curiosity.
Haven't put much thought into that.
Is Rick a Quaker? And does he have a wrench?
Let's see. Rick goes to church, but because nobody. Well, if he feels, Rick does go to church, but only if it kind of lines up with his schedule. Like if that's a day he's traveling, he's not going to do it. So it's like kind of. It's from time to time. He doesn't do it as often, so he's not quite as devout as everybody else.
Well, I mean, everyone goes to church. And the good news is, as history will tell us, not that uncommon, or not that much different from today. You can attend church 7 Sundays in a row and hear not one word of actual gospel. It's a lot less about actually reading the Bible and more about kind of talking about what people care about. Very social, very good for the community to connect.
That's more about what I'm interested in, because like knowing your audience, and also it's just nicer. It's more pleasant.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have a few songs of praise in your repertoire as a musician.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Just curious. It's a time and place where religion is very much a part of the fabric of community. But we'll just say it's somewhat complicated.
Cameron goes, but only because he knows that there is God. There are other gods. He doesn't want to piss anybody off.
Oh.
So he goes.
That makes sense. Does Cameron have a relationship?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, Maura.
No.
Maura.
If you're gonna ask Cameron something, go ahead. Okay. I was going to say my mother was also a sage type, and I think that church-going folks sometimes found her unsettling, which is something that has also fallen on me. But it is part of life here.
Yes. Does Cameron have a particular relationship with the green? Seems you might.
He is a sage. He's not exactly sure where his connection really comes from. He does have some hedge magic, but it just kind of happens, and he doesn't pay attention to it much. If something's about to fall over, he just kind of nudges it back into place, not realizing that he's not touching it to nudge it back into place, and stuff like that. So it's kind of a casual. It just happens.
So you haven't yet made a bargain.
Yes.
Or been forced to make a hard choice by the green. Well,
Correct.
I mean, that's not that unusual. It does tend to grow on you slowly, like kudzu. Beautiful and lush and verdant and good feed for the cattle until it takes over everything. But, we won't go there, at least not immediately. Fantastic. Well, is anyone interested in a train ride? I wonder, Rick, I think you are perhaps we start with Rick on a train on the way into Davis. Is anyone else likely to have gone shopping or gone to visit friends or found another reason to take the train down south?
I'd like to say that the voices probably told Annie to take the train.
Okay.
I was seeing to a shrine or a memorial in another town. For attending to it, and now I'm heading back.
Okay. Now, it's not required that you all be on the train, but I am curious to know who happens to be on the train as it gets closer to the Blackwater Falls.
Sorry, am I in regular coach or am I in the freight? I thought I was train hopping.
Oh.
Maybe it could be a combination. I don't know.
I will say that it's up to you whether you hop the train or bought a ticket legitimately.
I probably would not have bought a ticket legitimately because.
All right.
Annie probably would have also hopped it.
Okay.
I'm a law-abiding train rider.
Right. Cameron, Irene, are you just in town, or is there a reason for you to be on the train?
Don't do much leaving of town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Rick, you had stowed yourself in. Now, you've done this, I think, quite a lot. You have ridden the rails with or without ticket pretty extensively, right? So you know where to go, you know where to hide, you know how to avoid the ticket takers, and you probably know to scope it out even before you hop the rail to make sure that there aren't any, I don't know, Pinkertons or someone else about who might interfere with you. I don't think Annie is quite that deliberate.
Right.
So I think, Annie, I would like you to see how good you are at staying hidden. Because we got to roll dice at some point. I think I would like to make that I think it's just difficulty 3. But I'm going to hinder it because this is unfamiliar to you and you're somewhat distracted by the voices. And it's going to be a speed roll.
Is she approaching my freight?
I think you're in the same car.
Okay.
I think you have probably secreted yourself away somewhere sensible.
Right.
I think Annie is probably a little bit less organized in terms of keeping herself incognito. So I'm just curious if there's a chance that, I don't know, she starts singing or otherwise reveals her presence to you and potentially others. So how this will work is that we've set the difficulty, if I remember correctly, at 4. That sets your target number at 12. You can just take it as it is, roll a d20. If you get 12 or above, you're successful. If you have any skills, like if you have stealth as a skill, let me know, because that'll actually take the difficulty down. You could also decide to apply effort to that to bring it down. It's low stakes. I wouldn't recommend it. But does Annie have any skills that would help her hide or remain unnoticed?
I think the closest thing would be listening and hearing, but then that's not really more of staying hidden. That's more of like hearing if someone's coming over.
Yeah, I don't think that one will apply.
Yeah. So there's none.
Cool. Well, I think let's just roll it up and see what happens.
Is there any way I could influence this role, like by saying like I'm just kind of directing her to come over to the more shadowy part of the
Well, I'm
card
saying
or
I don't
something
think you
to
know
that-
she's there. Yeah, I'm just curious whether you're just two people hiding in a cart that don't know don't know about it each other.
Well,
Or-
I don't want to bring attention to the cart.
Wow.
So
Well,
helping her makes sense.
but you don't know she's there yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. She may be really excellent at hiding. We don't know. I mean, don't worry. A success or failure doesn't matter until it does. So roll
So
that d20
apparently-
and see what you get.
Apparently the voices are nice and quiet for this one hopping train, because that's a 19.
Ooh. So you have, I think Annie has zoned out. Annie, I think the voices have been a kind of a comforting low hum for most of this trip. I think satisfied that you're following the instructions that they gave you. They haven't been urging you toward anything during this trip, knowing that there's not much you can do other than sit quiet. I think that changes, though. I think the voices begin to speak to you more loudly. I think the voices take on a note of concern, of warning. I think they tell you that you are in a bad place and you need to get out. What happens?
Probably look around the train.
It's dark. There's a few shafts of light, some dust sparkling, just in the gaps in the roof and the walls. The big latch sliding door is not that far from you, but you are moving at a decent clip. It does feel like the train is slowing a little bit, and you can start to feel a bit of a lean. Seems like the conductor has slowed down for a curve. I'm sure you've made this trip before, at least once. You know that there's a bit of a bend as you exit the canyon, make your way up towards the falls. So you figure you're fairly close to town. But you don't see any threat. You don't see any anything. The voice is more insistent. Get out, get out, get out.
I think Annie will try to move to the door to try to unlatch it and open it.
Rick,
Yes.
bursting out maybe from underneath a tarp in a little hollow between crates of supplies for town is this woman. What does Annie look like?
She has like red hair, but like not the ginger hair, but like red hair. And kind of like a bandana scarf thing. Kind of ragged attire outfit. Fairly like middle average size, sort of slimmer build, kind of skittish and like more all over the place. To like a normal person probably assume that she is like crazy.
So yeah, you see in this dim light, you hear the rustle of the tarp and you see a flash of movement as this woman leaps out of hiding and begins scrabbling with the latch to the door of the car. What happens?
It feels like it's time to get out anyways, because like you mentioned, it's the bend before
I mean,
town.
you're 20 minutes from town.
Oh,
It's a ways.
Okay. Why would they be stopping at this time then?
Slowing down to go around a bend, but it's not stopping.
Okay.
You can feel
Okay.
just the little bit of centrifugal force as the train is curving around this bend, and it did noticeably slow, but not hugely. It does not
do
appear
get
to
a
be
little-
coming to a stop.
I do get a little bit spooked because, like, first of all, there's another person in the cart that I
Yeah.
didn't even notice. Second of all, they seem to, it's like maybe they saw something, maybe they need to get out. I don't know.
What do? Do you draw your gun?
This is not a gun situation. This is maybe a help situation and try to get out now. It's like I will go over down. Rick comes out. He's like I don't know. He's a fairly tall man, brown hair. He's got kind of hawkish features. Skinny, muscular. Got a guitar. Dressed pretty plainly. It looks a little rough because like that of a guy who needs to get his clothes cleaned. But otherwise, decent looking guy, I guess. But he goes up to this person and it's like, what'd you spot out there?
Oh, I didn't spot that. They just said that it's like really dangerous here and we gotta get out.
Who said that?
Voices. Don't you hear them?
You
They're,
heard
like,
voices?
everywhere.
Okay, well, we better get out of here then.
Yeah. That's what we're saying. The dangers. I'm not telling them. Normal people don't listen anymore.
Huh. Interesting. Now, Rick also hears voices, but he kind of like internalized it in the sense that it's like, oh, it's more like a muse, or it's just like it's just something musicians go through. It's like the self-critical kind of voice a person has. So he thinks it's a lot more mundane, and that a lot of people have this sort of kind of voice going on, but he doesn't think anything of it as a supernatural kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, but yeah. So, but I'm like, all right, do you need help with the door?
Oh, that would be great. I'm trying to open it, but like I guess I'm not strong enough because it's not really opening all that much.
Right. Well, it's not my first time opening one of these things. I'll give it a go.
So as Rick goes to join Annie to try to open up the latch, figure out how to jump from a rapidly moving train car. Mora, I think, the good news is that the train has ascended out of the canyon, which means it's ascended out of the worst of the smoke. The windows that had been closed and covered with dampened cloths to keep out the smoke and the ash have been removed. A few of them been opened to kind of let some fresher air blow through. It's brighter because you don't have that pall of smoke. And you have a chance to continue examining some of your fellow riders, one of whom is obviously a very distinguished gentleman, just on the basis of his clothing alone, and something about his demeanor and his slicked back, dark hair going a little bit silver suggests that he is definitely not from around here. Even though he's sitting quietly and patiently, he carries about him an air of importance and urgency even. I think that of the fellow passengers, he is almost certainly the one that has attracted your attention the most, just because he doesn't fit in. He has a very fancy leather valise with him. And opposite him on the table is a thick, clean and reasonably well-dressed individual, but someone who gives a rough sort of feel to him. Kind of like stuffing a dog into a suit. It may be dressed well, but it certainly doesn't seem like its natural environment or attire. This larger individual seems bored, kind of tapping his sausage-like fingers on the table. He occasionally throughout the ride has attempted to engage the more urbane man in conversation and has received, if anything, a curt response. They don't appear to be friends, but they do appear to be traveling together.
Okay, so there hasn't been any conversation to eavesdrop on per se.
Some of the other passengers have been talking about, the price of muskrat pelts or any kind of
Regular
small
Davis
town
things.
scandal. Yeah. Oh, Miss Johnson lost her 5th son in the mines. It's like, well, that's how mining works.
I assume that neither of the distinguished gentleman and his companion are not recognizable. They're clearly strangers.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. Do they remain sitting there the whole time? Okay. I think at one point, Mora sort of takes a stroll in the train car, and on the way back, she greets the distinguished gentleman, but turns to his companion instead, and sort of says like, "I couldn't help but notice that you're not the usual type coming into Davis. Can I ask after your intentions in town?"
And so this is to the kind of meaty
Yes.
companion.
To the companion.
Ah, cool. Oh, well, let's see. Do you have any skills that you were looking to apply?
I think the only relevant skill could possibly be perception. I don't know if that would really apply if
No,
I'm trying to glean anything from.
I think so.
Yeah.
Not so much in the success of the social interaction, but as an excuse to see if you can't pick up anything. So yeah, I think this enables you to make a perception. I don't think it's going to go well from a social. I don't think you're going to wind up betrothed in 3 months. But I do think that that is a reasonable excuse to get close enough that you might pick up on some details. I think it's going to be, oh geez, difficulty 3,
Okay.
which will be eased to 2 because if you're practiced in perception.
I'm trained. I
Yeah,
don't know
same,
what
same
practice
thing.
means.
Same thing.
Sorry.
So
What's
same
that?
thing. So you're trained in perception,
Okay,
which
okay.
is going to ease
Yep.
the task. So that sets your your target number at 6. So it's
Okay.
not impossible that you would fail. Now, is there a
But
way that you could apply an asset? Is there something not to feed you, but just kind of explain how it works? An asset doesn't necessarily have to be something that's in your inventory or a piece of equipment. It
mhm,
could very well be like the expectation that a man of honor would see to a woman traveling alone. It could be a glove that you happen to have that you drop. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I guess what I'm trying to say is it can be pretty narrative as long as it's a thing that you can apply. Thing being a human contact, a social dynamic. I mean, there's a lot of like that thing. It can be defined pretty broadly.
mhm. I mean, if so, Mora is an older woman,
Mm-hmm.
like graying hair, visibly older. Like the shawl wrapped around her shoulders, sort of grandmotherly. Would that be something that could ease this particular social interaction? It's very um, I don't know how I was ending that sentence.
No,
That's
I
the end of the
think like
question.
for example, this doesn't have to be how it goes, but just to kind of give you an idea of how the dynamics might work. It could
Mhm,
be, as I'm talking to this meathead individual, I kind
mhm,
of, oh, my shawl slipped off my shoulder and is now kind of dangling toward him. And there's a
mhm,
social expectation that he would help an older woman, right? It's the
mhm.
gentlemanly thing to do, which could actually buy you a little bit more time,
Yeah,
excuse the fact that you're looking around. So it's not, even though having a shawl is
it's
not
not
in
as
your
obvious.
inventory, it's still an asset that you can apply.
Yeah, so it's like as I was heading past, like my shawl got caught on the edge of the seat or something.
Yeah, or you like
Yeah,
kind of tossed it out
I'm
so it would catch on the thing. Cool. Yeah.
pausing
So
here and going,
that would
excuse
that
me.
would ease it even further. So
Mhm.
difficulty 1, target number 3. You could spend effort if you wanted to bring it down to difficulty 0, which means it's a guaranteed success. You don't even roll, or you could just roll it because the
I
chances of rolling
I will
over
just
3
roll
on a
it at
d20
this
is pretty
point. So
high.
this is a d20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I rolled a 6.
Cool. So that asset was good.
Yeah.
So he is not a gentleman.
Mhm.
So he mostly just seems flummoxed, but he does have some. He obviously has a mother and a grandmother, so he does maybe he tries to stand up to help you, or he thinks you're about to fall, and then that jostles the table.
Mhm.
The well dressed, refined man is not having it and kind of slams his hand down on the table. So it causes a little bit of a commotion.
Mhm.
You are, however, able to see that kind of in the jostling, the valise that he had next to him kind of falls over onto the little bench area. And you can see that worked into the leather is a familiar stylized bee
Got it.
for
Yeah, so
Babcock.
sorry, was that?
For Babcock.
Yes, I see the B for Babcock. I note that. I give the meaty man a pat on the hand. Thank you, dearie. And I continue back to my seat,
You
uh,
toddle along.
toddle along.
Excellent. Excellent. Back in the in the cargo car. I mean, this is not necessarily built to be open from the inside because people aren't supposed to be in here. It's pretty heavy. The car is rocking and swaying. You're a bit past that bend, and so it's starting to pick up speed again. Obviously, this isn't a rapid transit train or anything like that. It doesn't move that fast, but you can feel the chugging of the engine as it begins to pick up speed. I'm going to give it a try to force it open and hop out.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be, obviously, it'll be a might task. I think it's probably going to be difficulty 4, but I am going to hinder it because of the motion of the train and how it's kind of increasing and decreasing the tension on the lever in a kind of unpredictable way. So that'll raise it to
Sorry, how high did you cut out?
a 5. I was whispering 5.
Oh, that's gonna be very hard. I will have to spend some might in order to bring that down.
Well, do you have a skill?
Do I have a skill? Let's see. Train, music, understanding, listening and hearing, detecting falsehood, and guns.
You can shoot it.
I could shoot it. Yep. You know what? I'm going to shoot it.
Cool. That can't possibly go horribly wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think you guys are, I'm going to say narratively, you're kind of pulling on it and it starts to, because it's one of those kind of gravity, kind of curved, heavy metal, slightly rusty kind of hook and eye connectors.
Like a cane bolt?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm extremely good at all things mechanical. But I can describe what it looks like. And there's probably a large lever on the outside that makes it very easy to open, but not much on the inside. And you kind of are working it up. And then as soon as you start to make any progress, the train will shift and the frame will kind of warp and it'll snap it back in place. There's a couple of times where you just barely miss getting your fingers pinched. But you take a look at it and you think because you're really good at this, you might be able to hit a weak point, maybe knock it loose from where it's connected into the wood.
Okay.
Cool. So that's going to be, I think in that case, it's a stationary target. You're very, very close. It's dark and it's moving. I think in this case, I'm going to make that difficulty 3. That's with a hinder for it being a not great environment.
So, yeah.
And you are skilled in guns, right?
Yes.
Which knocks it down to 2.
Oh, okay. So I only have to roll a 4.
A 6. It's multiplied by 3.
6. It's by 3, right?
And you could apply a level of effort with speed to knock that down to difficulty 1.
I'm going to let it ride.
Okay.
All right, here we go. What happens when we meet the difficulty?
It succeeds, I think.
Then 6. Usually in a lot of systems, tie goes to the roller.
Yeah, I think that's right. For visibility, I have run this game, but unlike most of the games that we play on this channel, I actually have run this game before, but like one little story. So I'm not super well versed in it. And it was pretty casual. And it was more than a month ago, so I've forgotten almost everything. So yes, excellent. Yes, you don't hit the actual heavy metal and you don't have to worry about a ricochet right back in your face. You do basically blast a hole in the wood of the door itself. And then with maybe a couple of kicks, kind of expand that crack until now the doors are kind of freely sliding and banging into each other.
Right.
But you have effectively opened them. Mora, you hear a gunshot. Everyone in the car hears a gunshot. The well-dressed man immediately snaps his head towards the direction. The big beefy fellow immediately reaches into his too tight jacket and pulls out a revolver.
Well, I'll be. Yeah, I'm looking back. So like I'm in a regular train car. It just came from somewhere behind us.
Yeah, a car or two back.
All right. Well, I'm not going towards that. That's fine.
I don't blame you.
I stay where I am for now. I'm keeping an eye on is it
Babcock.
Babcock, thank you. I'm keeping an eye on the Babcock guys. I do want to, if they leave this train car, I might try to follow them, but I'm not inclined to investigate a gunshot particularly.
I think the more well-dressed individual gives a nod to the guy with the gun, who immediately begins barging back to the source of the gunshot. Back in the freight car, Rick and Annie, these doors are kind of chaotically opening and closing just by the shifting of the... Actually, I think because you're on an incline, they kind of bounce a little bit, and then the left-hand side kind of slides open. So now you got a clear view. You are facing downgrade, kind of toward the canyon, toward the river. It's not like a cliff drop, but it's going to be, to jump out, it's going to take some skill to not go tumbling down, hitting some trees on the way down. What do?
I'm inclined to get out of here. I don't want to get caught, especially after shooting.
So is it a 1, 2, 3 jump?
Basically, what I'm going to try to aim for a tree and try to catch it and kind of fire pull my way down if I can, and then maybe climb my way down afterwards.
Okay, so you're going to try to kind of jump into wait until you see a big tree coming and jump into that. And at least
hopefully
you'll
it doesn't
get tangled up in the limbs at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Annie.
It's gonna be a disaster.
Is Annie thinking about a strategy, or is Annie just leaping?
Annie is doing whatever the voice is telling Annie to do. So if
Get
the
out.
voice is saying
Get
jump,
out. Get
jump
out.
now, Annie is jumping.
Cool. Annie jumps. Annie, give me a speed, I think. I think it's going to be difficulty. I mean, jumping isn't hard. I think all told, it's probably going to be a target number of 9. If y'all think this might be a good place for a GM intrusion, I might be inclined to agree, but we'll see how things turn out. Annie, I think it's target number 9, difficulty 3, all things told. Do you have any skills that are relevant to jumping out of moving trains? I would accept ballet, can dancing, tightrope walking, anything related to, that might even conceivably be related to elegantly jumping from a moving train into the wilderness.
I have an inability to navigate, so I don't think so.
Yeah. You're it's like, I don't know much other than out and down. Cool. Well, roll it up.
It's an 18.
Ooh.
Excellent. I think what happens is less that Annie jumps and more that Annie leans out and grabs a passing branch and is just elegantly pulled out, kind of hanging there. Rick, how about you? She set a good example. Clearly, this is easy.
Look, well, I'll try my best. Like what I saw, it's like, oh, it's that easy. It's just like, okay, I'll do that then.
I think it's the same roll.
It's the same rule. 3, you said?
Yeah, target number 9.
See, the difference is I don't trust my rules.
Yeah, do you have any skills that would apply?
Can I spend some of my pool? Is that how that works?
Yeah. Do you have edge and speed?
No, it would be an intellect. My only
so
edge.
It would cost you 3 points from your speed pool to apply 1 effort.
Oh, okay. So now I'm down to 10.
Yeah. So that means your target number down 6. For those on stream or watching later, everyone's got 3 pools of stats. Mike for strength, constitution, ability to resist physical damage, all kinds of stuff. You got speed, which is both physical speed and nimbleness, but also manual dexterity. And then you've got intellect, which is smarts, instinct, kind of charm, everything kind of mental and emotional.
I like to think of it as 3 different flavors of mana.
Kind of.
Yeah. Anyways, here comes the roll.
Yeah.
It's 8, so that's sufficient, I believe. Was it?
Yes. Okay, well,
it's not as good.
No, it's good. No, it's perfectly sufficient.
Yeah.
And spending that effort made the difference between success and failure, and potentially taking some damage. So good. I think it's not quite as elegant as Annie, but you do what you intended and just jump out and hug a passing tree trunk as the train rattles by. Mora, the large gentleman, has kind of elbowed his way through. A number of people stood up and are kind of looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. He's pushed a couple people aside. He has opened up the back door of this car. You hear the rattle of the wheels get just so much louder all of a sudden, and even just the creaking of the joint between the cars. It's really present, almost like grating, as he looks to kind of maneuver his way. This isn't a fancy train, so he's going to kind of have to hop. He is preparing to do so. I think everyone is kind of distracted. Do you intend to follow him?
Yes, I don't trust this man's intentions particularly, although I don't want to trail him that closely either, because I don't know anything about guns. I don't really want all that much to do with them. So I'm at the very least, I'm standing with the others and sort of watching what he's doing, how far he goes, keeping an eye.
So you're looking around and maybe, okay, cool. Give me a difficulty 2 perception.
Okay.
So that's target number 6. If as I recall correctly, you are trained in perception, that knocks it down to difficulty 1. So that's just a target number of 3.
I rolled a 5.
It takes you a second. I think at first it seems like maybe the train has moved into the shadow of an outcropping, or maybe a cloud has gone over the sun. But it's enough to attract your attention, distract you momentarily from watching the larger man. He has left that adjoining door open. You maybe lean forward and look out the window. There is something rapidly approaching the train.
Oh.
Large. It is green and writhing, like a wall of vines and leaves and thorns, branches and boughs, like an avalanche descending upon the train. You rapidly glance around. You are the only person who sees this.
Okay. So I see this thing approaching the train. From what you described, it sounds like an earthy capital G green sort of thing. So what I am wondering is if there's anything I can do to not stop it, but steer it away from the train, or just in some way interact with this thing to encourage it to not be here.
I think intuitively you could, however you understand it, you do have some connection to the green, right?
Mhm.
I think you could attempt to sort of intuitively call upon that to try to commune with whatever this avalanche of green is
Mhm.
that's rapidly barreling down on this train.
So I have a cipher called Gift of the Green.
Yes.
And when you use it, you gain an asset and tasks related to the green.
Yes. What does it look like?
So I'm wondering if this seems like a good time to perhaps use that thing.
Yeah.
If I can call on my connection to try to influence this thing.
So maybe you fiddle around in your little purse and pull out what? What does it look like?
It is I pull out of my purse, out of my bag. I'm one of those ladies who has a large bag with me at all times. And I pull a book out of the bag, and inside the book is a pressed leaf. And I've like moved away from the door where I was watching this man, and I like set the bag on a seat, and I'm sort of burrowing through it, and I flip the book open and pull the pressed leaf out of the pages. And what using it looks like is rubbing the leaf between my palms, and it crumbles away as it's being activated.
All right. I think it starts hard. I think it probably starts at a 4. I think there's a sense of urgency that makes it harder because you don't have much time before something terrible happens to this train. But I think you have some pre-existing connection with the green, and you have used the cipher, which gives you an asset. Is there any skill that you would apply?
I'm trained in using magic.
This is more understanding.
Okay, this is more understanding. I have an inability in understanding.
I don't think you're trying to understand like a magical effect or replicate it, but I think this is more this is less about the skillful application of your own magic and more about understanding what's going on. But I do think that'll count for easing it twice, which gets you down to a 3.
Okay.
So
and then another skill I have, I don't know if this is relevant here, is identifying plants and creatures.
Oh, why not? Why not? Because I think your ability to understand what composes this is helpful in trying to figure out what's going on. I don't see why not.
Okay, then yes, I'm trained in using magic. I have an inability in understanding magic, but I'm also trained in identifying plants and creatures.
Yes.
Just to lay those things out.
So we start at 5. We ease it 1 for your connection to the green, 1 for your use of the cipher, which gives you an asset, and 1 for your ability to quickly identify plants and things in the natural world.
Mhm.
Sure. So difficulty 2, target number 6.
Oh, dang.
Okay. And now I'm just thinking about how I've been rolling, which is bad.
It's going to be an intellect roll. So if you have an edge on intellect, that means one degree of effort would only cost you 2.
I do have an edge in intellect. So it will cost me 2 to bring it down more. So I will do that.
Excellent. So now you just got to beat a 3.
All right. Let's see if we can do that. I rolled a 2.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Being
Cool.
bullied by my dice.
Oh.
Well, let's see. Do we have we gotten any?
Boons and
I
banes.
believe we have one.
We have a
boon.
major boon. If you'd like to spend that on a reroll,
Do it.
I would like to spend that on a reroll.
let's
Feels
do
important.
12.
Okay.
it. There we go.
Respectable.
So I think what you get is,
Channel points.
I think what explains the momentary difficulty is that while this wall, this rapidly racing avalanche, the bits and pieces of it that you can identify, it seems all natural. It's largely laurel and rhododendron, almost as if the typical undergrowth of the woods in this area were growing at some fantastic speed, but at a height of 20 feet, creating this almost tidal wave. It is also very clear that this is not some avalanche. This is not some fire parched earth giving way and dragging with it a section of forest. This is something entirely unnatural or supernatural. And through that expenditure of your cipher as a demonstration of your connection to the green, you receive one thought. It's not a word. It's not even really kind of an emotion. It's more primal than that. There's one aim: vengeance. And you know in this moment, it does not care about you. It does not care about your connection. It does not care about any of the workings that you have done. It will bowl over you without a second thought. Its aim is destruction. What do you do?
Well, I think with that knowledge, I know I need to get off the train. Because it seems like it's pretty set on destroying this thing in particular. What I'm pondering right now is the other people on the train. I'm assuming that what I've gleaned from this, what I know is that this thing could very well destroy the train. It definitely seems big and angry. If that seems accurate?
Yeah.
So I have 2 things. One, just there's not much time to
If it helps,
get things going. I'm assuming that I'm just
seconds.
like in the middle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You have seconds.
Okay. 2 things I'm doing. One is I start yelling that there's a fire.
Okay.
And the second thing I'm doing is getting myself off the train. So I go to the open door. Would I be able to jump off from here?
Well, it's at this point I would like to offer you an intrusion.
Okay.
And that intrusion is to see you safely off the train at a cost.
Okay.
Now, everyone
What-
should start with 1 XP. You can give me that XP to deny it and roll the dice. See if your old
Oh.
bird-like bones snap like kindling as you jump off. Or you can trust that momentary connection with the green.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that intrusion.
Cool. So take 1 XP for yourself.
Okay.
Take another XP and give it to anyone. There's no rhyme or reason about why. It could be, hey, you did really cool role playing. Hey, that was a great role. Hey, you haven't had a chance to do much yet. Here's an XP. Like there's no rhyme or reason behind it. Just pick someone to give XP to.
We'll give it to Annie.
Cool. So Annie, you also get an XP for that graceful exit.
so
the
much
train.
grace. Sorry, is there a spot on the sheet where you're supposed to be tracking XP?
I don't know.
Okay, just checking if I was missing something.
Yeah, it's next to tier and effort.
Okay.
Just under your
Oh, thank
token.
you. Thank you. I was just missing that. Thank you. So you also start with an XP?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I mean, this is the first time you people have been awake. You've been doing some stuff, I'm sure. Also, it gives you without it, you can't opt out of GM intrusions, at least not the first one. So what happened, these two plans don't work well together because the instant you start yelling fire, everyone stands up and starts looking and milling around, which makes it harder and takes you some time to get to the gap. It's quite loud, so the man with the gun has already long gone. So I think we see a shot of you, kind of a close shot of you working your way through. There's no fire. What's going on? Oh, I smell fire. No, that's the fire from the canyon. A bunch of people. That old lady's crazy. What's going on? Why is it so dark in here? What's that out the window? General mayhem. So by the time you force yourself out and are kind of standing, kind of braced, there's a little bit of a railing you're holding on to it, and you're kind of like slowly kind of like tap, edging your foot out into the junction to try to find a place to jump from. I think we see you look behind as this tidal wave of rustling vines and leaves and thorns crests over the top of the carriage. I think what the camera sees, and we pull back a little bit, is just you're swallowed. Cameron, Irene, Davis, going about your daily business. Maybe are we chatting on a street corner? Kind of.
Oh, yes. Just ran into Cameron, as
Okay.
you do.
Got my wheelbarrow full of fresh herbs, fresh plants, making a delivery into town.
Oh, it's so good to see you, Cameron. How's business been?
Good. I mean, ventured a little bit further out to keep on finding supplies. People wandering into the forest and just trampling over stuff, grabbing stuff, taking stuff that's not ready yet. More work.
Yeah, the trappers have been saying it's been hard pickings around town. They got to go farther out because of all the cutting and whatnot. Real shame about that. Should be a train of people coming in soon. Will be pretty good to sell some stuff to them, fresh in the town.
Yep. I got more of the good stuff and more of the great stuff and more of the bad stuff ready. So
Good. Well, you always know you can give me some of that bad stuff, right?
of course.
Oh, I was just heading over to the station. Someone has some packages to be delivered from the shop. So were you heading that way?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. It was such a lovely day for a stroll. Great weather. The smoke hasn't come this way in several days. Good wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very nice wind. Very, very calm.
So calm. It's such a nice place, Davis, here in town.
Yeah, bright, clear, hardly a cloud in the sky. Which is what
No
makes
shade.
which is what makes the thunder you hear rolling up the valley a little confusing.
Well, that's odd. What do you suppose that loud, horrible noise was?
And then
No sense of it.
then you hear squealing? Like old man Jacobowski's pigs? High-pitched, discordant.
Too loud. Ready to be slaughtered.
Definitely not from any human throat. Echoing. Rumbles. Crashes. And faintly, screams that are all too human.
I pick up a bottle from my wheelbarrow and pop the cork off and take a big swig and
Ooh,
and hold it over to Irene.
Irene grabs it, also takes a swig, hands it back, and is like, "What? You think we should head over to the station, but hustle?"
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I'll
hustle.
I'll hustle as well as I can with a old wooden wheelbarrow.
Here, I'll trade you. I give you my smaller packages, and I'll just take that wheelbarrow and go. We might need some of this. Might have been some sort of accident. Most of those noises can be explained as an accident of a train. Definitely all of the noises, including that weird scream. That was just a train noise, right?
That doesn't happen though, right? Trains are safe and reliable and
Oh, child.
I
I have some stories for you about the railroad.
I will passively I do have a mystic sense.
Yeah.
Being a mystical sage. That just tells me if there is something mystical or magical going on.
Yeah. You feel almost like there's a string tied to your diaphragm that you like never knew was there. And now that you kind of check in on that sense you have, you realize that moments before you heard that first clap of thunder, there was a pull towards the south. Not painful, but disconcerting. Made you feel a little queasy. As if something big that you couldn't quite see was rushing both past you and through you in that direction.
That's what the bottle was for.
Mm. And now I think the sense you have is it's a jagged kind of feeling. It's a sliced vines on broken glass, broken bones, pulped flesh, burning oil kind of feeling.
Great. Then yes, I do. I definitely feel a compulsion for that. A lot of my my healer's instinct pulling that way.
Annie and Rick hanging out in your trees, probably a good 15 feet apart. I'm going to say Annie just lets go and hops down. And it's perfectly fine. Rick, probably you have to shimmy down this tree a little bit, kind of crawl your way out of the rhododendron, knocking some leaves and branches out of your hair. It's only a few minutes later. You're mostly around the bend, so you can probably just see the tail end of the train. Can't quite see what hits it. But you do hear the sound, and you both look in that direction, and you can just see it knocked off the track.
Oh, man.
Begins to twist and turn and start to cascade down the steep side of this gully. Not going all the way down. It stopped by the trees. And then this horrible sound. Even as the banging and the rumbling of the train rolling down the hill stops, there's this sound as if the metal itself is twisting. A screeching, snapping noise. And then because you're much, much closer, you definitely hear the yells and cries and screams of people. Kind of rise, and then not all, but most silenced very quickly.
What'd I tell you? They said there was danger, and there's danger.
This is what you were talking about?
Well, I didn't know the exact danger, but they did say that there was danger, and that usually means that there's danger, so that usually means we need to not be here when there's danger. So, yes.
This is pure insanity, though. Like, what's happening over there? Are people? Is everyone okay? Maybe I don't know if we should stay and help, or if we should we should just book it.
I don't think we should stay, because usually danger follows other danger, so it probably would be best to get out of here or away from it, just to be sure.
Am I able to see town from here, or
No, but following the tracks, it's going to take a little bit longer to get there than it would if you were on the train, obviously, because you're now on foot.
That's good, because I have an inability in navigation.
I'm not going to make you roll to follow the train tracks.
All right. So,
I will say that with that inability, the idea of trying to go over land or take a shortcut, you probably know is not a good idea.
Yeah. So I just turn to Annie. It's like, I guess I don't know. We just team up and then just head to town together, and maybe find out from there what's happening. I don't think we can do anything here.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So as Annie and Rick make their way up the train tracks, the tracks themselves were not completely ripped out of their moorings, but you can see they will have to be repaired. Whatever caused this violent derailment, they are now out of alignment, but it doesn't impair your walking. There is a mass, like you're seeing, obviously there's earth and stones and roots and ragged, torn branches and foliage everywhere. There in the center of the track, though, is almost like a little cocoon of sorts. A green, 5.5 foot long, maybe a little bit longer, little envelope. It just seems a bit too regular to be a piece of debris, so it attracts your attention. I think what also attracts your attention are the night blooming flowers that emerge. Sweet, pungent, cutting through the smell of metal and sap and, well, maybe a bit of blood in the air. And as you look at this, you see it fall away. Not sure if it's withering or returning to the earth, but there's a woman inside. Older. You see as this cocoon fades back, you can see these roots almost have wound themselves very gently around her exposed flesh. And as those roots recede, they leave a mark, a faint, pale mark, a tattoo across her exposed flesh. She seems asleep. Certainly not awake until, with a Mora, you see these two definitely not shady individuals looking down at you.
Oh, you're muted.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great. There's a moment where she's just staring, and then like what happened before she was unconscious comes crashing back, and she like shoots upright and is just like looking around wildly, seeing. I'm assuming I'm still near the train wreckage.
Yeah, if you sit up, you can certainly see the swath of destruction, the broken trees, the churned earth, and can probably see a plume of smoke.
Yeah, I think I look at Rick and Nanny, and I'm just, these people standing in front of me, and just like, were y'all on the train? Are y'all all right? Or were you from town?
Well, we should be asking you if you're all right. You're covered in all sorts of weird crap. And I brushed some of the stuff off of her, like, or try to. Can we disengage her from this thing?
Oh, it's gone now.
Oh, okay, it's gone. Right.
Yeah, I think I reach a hand up so you can help me up.
Okay, I help her up.
And I'm looking at my like hands, which now have the imprint of the vines on them. And I don't know what happened. Something weird.
You know something happened when you were snatched.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you were inside, something happened. A bargain was made. You don't remember. It almost feels like it's been hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it must have only been moments, but it feels like you've been away somewhere and have just now come back to where you started. And you know that while you were away, an important exchange occurred, but you can't bring it to your mind at this moment.
Cool. We don't have time to unpack all that right now. I sort of brush off my clothes, look at the look at the dirt I was lying in and go like, well, we better go see if anybody needs any help. And I start marching over to the train.
Cameron and Irene, I think the station keeper likewise probably clues in very quickly. This doesn't sound quite right, but I think he knows what a derailment sounds like. I think he has rapidly pulled together a crew on the little push car. I think Cameron, seeing you, he will invite you and Irene to come along. It will take as many hands as possible. And if there are any folk who lived who can be helped by your healing skills, it's best to not wait to transport them back.
I quickly grab some of the more sealed and more portable things and just shove into pants pockets, shove into the overcoat, rush up on and start getting ready to help start
Great. I think he will.
trying to think of a verb for that.
I think he will prepare you. Crash That Loud is not as simple as, the trolley cart lost its track and, that sounded like a full derailment. If he will probably look at Irene and say, now, ma'am, if there are people that are hurt, they're probably hurt real bad. So it's probably best to let us menfolk take a look first. But glad that you're willing to help. Just be sure that you stay back and let us handle what needs to be handled. Because it's 1914. So we see a little bit of a montage as kind of simultaneous to the conversation happening with Maura, Annie, and Rick. You hop on the push car. And the good news is this is all downgrade, so it's relatively fast. He pulls a couple of the strong young men who work to load and unload cargo. They're very skilled at this. And pretty quickly, you're moving at a rapid clip. So in the maybe 10 minutes or so that it takes before help arrives, what are Rick, Annie, and Maura doing? It seems like there's clear agreement that what everyone needs to do is to go and help everyone, right? It's definitely what Rick and Annie want to do.
I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What changed your mind?
People don't seem to be too worried about the gunfire incident.
Oh. I mean, not anyone still living.
Yeah.
And Maura seems to have other things on her mind than figuring out what happened with that gunshot. So you're going to climb down and see if you can't get to the wreckage?
Yeah, I could. I mean, I think try to get down and see if we can help some people. I mean, it seems the only decent thing to do at this point.
I assume, Maura, you're on board with that? How about you, Annie?
Gonna sit watch.
Okay.
Because that's spooky stuff and danger happened, and I'm not gonna deal with that unless the voices say go deal with that.
Oh, the voices. That's a good point. What are the voices saying? Oh, I think the voices are surprisingly quiet. I think as you probe into your mind to try to connect with them, it's almost like they're reluctant to speak. And then finally, maybe just one small voice tells you something a little bit cryptic. You hear that small voice say, "They're sleeping now, but we'll walk soon." And I think you don't like much what the voice says, but you're not quite sure what it means. Rick and Mora, I figure if you're helping each other, there's no need to make you make a roll to not fall down and impale yourselves on a jagged tree trunk. It would be an ignominious way for you to go. So I think it just takes you a while, some close calls to get down to the mangled wreckage of the train. There are no cries from within. Mora, what you notice very clearly is the car that you were in has been opened like a tin of sardines.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Is this train like on fire, or is it just in pieces? Like how approachable is it?
You probably, either you or Rick, probably know enough to avoid the engine itself as a steam engine. I mean, it's obviously not currently being fed, but those things are known to occasionally blow up. But the smoke is actually coming from the engine itself. So it's a mixture of smoke and steam. That you can probably hear still the hissing and popping. Something was ruptured. Now the coal furnace is probably still burning, and that you probably do, now that I think about it, you probably do see a little bit of fire from just coal that has spilled out as the train rolled. But nothing that would seem to indicate that it's going to cause a conflagration.
Yeah, no imminent danger. I think Mora does sort of walk closer to the train car that she was on, and she's just sort of looking at the way it was opened, and also just seeing if any of the people that she was on that car with are still, if anyone seems still alive or even visible at all.
Well, they're all visible.
Yeah.
None of them are alive.
All right.
And there's one person missing.
How distinguished is that person?
Rather. In fact, I think because you got such a good look at it, you can see that fancy, beautiful, buttery leather valise with that ostentatious bee is now scattered across but you can see that the handle has been ripped free. You see that young couple that you overheard talking about coming up to visit, maybe, hopefully, working up the courage to ask the father for his permission. You see the hopeful job applicant at the tannery. You see the person who was just passing through, going back further up the coast. You see all the people that you had been sitting and listening to, jumbled, scattered, broken.
I think seeing that she can't do anything to help anyone physically here, Mora is going to bow her head and say prayers for them. She's not a particularly religious person, but she is a spiritual one. So she spends some time to honor them.
I think as you do that, you hear a low, creaky groan sets your teeth on edge, makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and makes you kind of look around. Something eerie about it. But it was obviously
Trying to-
just the train settling further,
Obviously.
you think.
Holy
I
crap!
think.
Sorry, a bird just flew into my apartment.
Oh no. It's
Sorry
the green.
about that. It's
It's
gone.
an emissary of the green.
That was scary. It was a pigeon, though, so I was not in danger.
Okay, then it wasn't an
All right.
emissary of the green. It was definitely a servant of the inner dark. Cameron, Irene, making good time. The young men sweating, pausing only to kind of, rip off a shirt and mop their brows, tie it around their waist as they exert themselves, really hitting as much speed as possible. As you begin to realize you're nearing the area, the station keeper sees something, an obstruction on the tracks above, and yells for the young boys to stop, and then grabs a hold of the little friction brake and then pulls it with all of his might. The cords and veins on his sinewy arms popping out, his teeth clenched, as you screech to a halt a bare 2 feet from Annie, who's been sitting on the tracks listening to the air, I guess. Annie, I think this is probably loud enough that Rick and Maura also hear something going on. You hear a man's voice shouting, "What are you doing on the tracks? What's going on here? Oh my God, look, the train." Help appears to have arrived. What happens?
Oh, look at you, dear. Come with me. Come with me. I say to Annie and guide her off the tracks so these menfolk can go down into the ravine or whatever the train is. What happened here?
Danger. Danger happened. The voices said that there was danger, but then nobody believed us. Except for that one guy on that one train. He believed us. That's why he's alive now. But the other ones didn't believe. They never believed. But now I guess they will have to believe eventually.
I think she's had quite a fright. And I'll just kind of, as Camden's coming down, let's kind of reach for the bottle.
Oh,
Yeah, that will solve a lot of problems.
yeah.
And
It's medicinal, so it's allowed.
Yeah, it's medicinal. It says medicine.
It's definitely not pure grain alcohol.
I don't think so, because it's medicine. I give her some medicine.
The 3X
is pure
is
grain alcohol.
extra effective.
Yes.
Yeah, extra effective.
Extra legal.
Now, dear, just drink some of this. Have a seat right over here.
Okay. But be warned, they're sleeping, but then apparently they're not going to be sleeping very soon. So, danger, beware the danger.
Okay, the danger. Yeah. Irene's like, I don't know what she's talking about, but she obviously witnessed something terrible and there's a whole train crash here, so she's just very upset by it. I don't know what you all are doing.
Yeah, you're all together. What happens?
Oh, we're all together. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here now. Except I'm up here and you're down there.
I'm gonna start. I'll make my way down. I'll start working on triage. Focusing on the people who have some injuries but less. The easy things that I can rub some powder on it, give it a quick wrap. Send them up to the tracks to start getting them back toward town.
Well, that's what you would do. If there's anything easier than treating a bump or a bruise or a sprain, it's treating a corpse.
So I'm just going and I'm like, I'm hoping. I'm checking, and I'm just not finding any.
No, not one. Now, the good news is that it's not like this was full of hundreds of people. Passengers, couple dozen, maybe in total. But it is something that you might find it a bit odd. I mean, it was clearly a bad derailment, but it's a little surprising how thoroughly dead everyone is.
That immediately starts to like really stress Cameron out. Like he was expecting to be able to come in here and be like, oh, there's going to be some things that I can't deal with, some things that I can. But he's a healer. He wants to help. He's into helping people, and like checking one after another is just like he's getting stressed out. He's getting frantic.
You could... I mean, you could try to see what you can glean from the scene. Are there skills or talents that you might want to apply?
I mean, I also have my mystic sense.
Yeah, I think there's nothing actively mystical happening. I think you already know that there's something supernatural has been at work, but I don't think there's anything that you're observing that's directly mystical in nature, if that makes sense.
Can I use my ability of understanding magic to try to reverse engineer what might have happened, having seen the effects?
I think without a roll, I don't think you see anything that is only explainable by magic.
I am specialized in the understanding, so if I can roll for it, I would.
Yeah, I think it would maybe like at a high difficulty, like a high base difficulty. So I think I'll set the base difficulty at 5.
All right. So I am specialized for
That'll knock it down
2.
to 3.
And then I've got an intellect edge, so I'll also use 2 intellect.
Cool.
And drop it down.
Cool.
Rolling a 20.
Oh, which one thing that we didn't cover before we started recording or streaming is there's some things that happen at the extremes of a die. So there's bad stuff that happens on a 1, obviously, which is basically a free intrusion for me, and I can be super mean. Skill rolls like 17, 18, 19, 20 can have certain effects, especially when you're talking about combat. You can do a little bit of extra damage or whatever. A 19 is always like a minor effect on top of whatever you're accomplishing. And a 20 is always a major effect, which could be the task you're attempting. It takes a lot less time. You don't consume any resources. Or in this case, gain additional information beyond what would normally be achievable. So I think what you get is these people aren't gone. Like they're dead, but there's a lingering sense. Like I think as you maybe kind of crawl your way into a car to look in, like maybe one of them flipped enough time that it's kind of at an angle, but still close to vertical. I think as you climb in and look and check from victim to victim to confirm that they're dead, they're all dead from broken necks and crushing injuries and head wounds and things like that. But you almost feel like there's a presence. Maybe a couple times you look back behind you and you're certain with that kind of mystical sense that you have that their spirits remain. Now, it's not, in your experience, entirely unheard of, particularly for the victim of a sudden and violent end to linger for a bit. But for dozens, surely some of them should have moved on instantaneously. There's a watchfulness. And you feel a will at work, a plan. Not sure what it is, not sure whose plan, but what you're seeing is the start of something, not the end of something.
Right. I, crawl back out of the car, and just shaking with everything. Kind of looking around to see, one, is anyone else getting vibes? Is anyone else figuring something out?
Well, I think
Yeah, there's not much to do.
I think Mora is nearby, right?
Mhm.
I think Mora has been similarly trying to figure out what's going on, right? Or similarly getting
Yeah.
a feel for, I think Mora's hand is attracted from where you're looking in. You see that valise. It's really close.
Mhm.
You don't need to reach far to get at it. And I think kind of without thinking, you pick it up. And then maybe idly peek inside. I mean, the latch is broken. The handle's been
Yeah.
ripped off. I think you see some papers. And then I think you also see something odd for a gentleman of that stature. A red silk sachet tied with rawhide. I think you pick it up and kind of feel, give it a smell. Is that tarragon? Earth? Is that rustle maybe rattlesnake skin?
Can I tell what it might have been made for?
Your inability is understanding but not using. Crafting, you have an ability. I'll say
Training crafting.
yeah, I'll say in this case, I think it's something that you would have that would be like in your repertoire. So I'll just say roll. This isn't quite exactly how the rules work, but I don't care. It makes sense to me narratively. So roll crafting for me, difficulty 3.
Okay.
No, 4. Because I think there's a better than even chance that you're not quite sure before
Okay.
you start to apply your skills.
Okay. So using the training crafting, I think I'm just going to roll for it.
Yeah, that gets you down to a target number of 9.
17.
Yeah. That is a fancy little cipher called a devil's deal.
Hmm.
It is currently unbound, but it's the kind of thing where you can whisper the name of a person, and that binds that person to the cipher. And when you do that, the next time that person attempts an important task, it makes that task very difficult for them. It's good for making sure that your team wins a friendly game of football or whatever. It's also good for negotiations where you want an edge on your opponent. There's a lot of potential uses for this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just have to slip that into my bag, won't I?
Cameron sees this old lady pawing through this fancy valise. Maybe doesn't see the appropriation of the cipher, but definitely sees that you are not alone, and there is in fact another living being, but who doesn't appear to be a victim of the crash, at least not physically. She does appear to have some sort of unusual skin condition.
Upon actually realizing that she's there, I'll kind of snap out and go over to her. Ma'am, are you okay? Were you here? Were you in the train?
I am okay somehow. I don't really know what happened. But I was looking to see if anyone was still alive. Did you find anyone?
No, it seems like everyone in the train is gone. We just came from town. How are you okay?
I would tell you if I knew.
Let me help you back up to the tracks at least. You're trying to be somewhat gentlemanly and somewhat, confused / concerned here.
Yeah, I let myself be helped.
So yeah, get her out of the train car. Start, get some people to help, escort this little old lady, back up to the tracks and get seated on the cart, and have a seat here. Irene can look over you, make sure everything's okay. Are you sure you're okay? You're not, just ignoring it or something?
As far as I can tell, my memory just stopped. So maybe I hit my head or something, but I think I'm all right.
Oh, yes, of course. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. I hand you the bottle. It is noticeably less full.
I take a sip and give an appreciative hum.
Yeah, it's one does not sip the medicine, one swigs.
One swigs, you're right. I swig the medicine.
You have to drink it quick. You really do.
You really do. Swallow quick.
You glug a slug from the jug.
Yeah, it's not a sipping elixir exactly.
Yeah. I have something to add.
Do it.
Basically, I was just thinking. Rick's there, just like feeling deeply sad about all these people just dying for some unknowable reason. But he doesn't have. He is effectively the same, similar class to Sin, and he does hear voices, but they don't manifest the same, and they come out more as like songs. That's why he thinks it's his own voice, but really it could be potentially something else. So it could come out. But he just starts singing a little song that he wrote off the top of his head. And it just goes something like, oh, Davis, your woods are all gone. They're nothing but memories. They live in this song. The soil, it is burning. Fire knows not right or wrong. If you burn down the valley, then death won't be long.
Mm-hmm.
Your leaders of business have ruined this land. In searching for money, they turn the soil to sand. If ever there were a time to lend nature our hand, no longer will we ravage the earth. We must stand. For the earth we must stand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like has a very hymn, and it has the elements that he doesn't really understand. But because, but it kind of comes to him through the voices.
Yeah,
And anyone who hears it is, I don't know, hopefully is moved.
and you can feel a second verse brewing.
Ah,
Like a verse of redemption, maybe.
I don't know.
Like it's not gelling yet in your head, but you can feel the song wants to go in a particular direction.
Okay. Verse of, I'll put down verse of redemption for now.
Yeah, but it's you think there might be a key change involved to something on the minor scale. You have a feeling that the redemption is maybe not easy. But necessary.
Hmm.
You'll have to think through what it is, find a way to put it into rhyme. But you definitely have a feeling of the song wants closure.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Well, the station keeper, having established that there are 3 survivors, but there are no injured here, we'll double check with Cameron to make sure. It's like, that one over there that we nearly ran over sure is acting real strange, but she doesn't appear to be injured. It doesn't seem like your services are needed much, but perhaps you might ride back in the cart and let the folks know we're in need to send out a wagon or two, recover the passengers, the conductor, if he can be found, bring him back to town and see to their proper burial, see if we can identify those who aren't from around here so that we can send word to their kin. I do thank you for being in the right time in the right place to help, and it's just a shame that your skills weren't put to the test today.
Yeah. Is there anything else, like, is anyone else showing concern, showing question about the 3 that seem not all that, messed up from all of this? Is anyone else noticing?
I think, well, first of all, the boys that were pushing the cart are just dumbfounded, right? This is the biggest catastrophe. They don't come from mining families. They haven't experienced this kind of catastrophe before. So, like, one of them is just kind of standing, kneading his little hat, kind of looking off into the distance. One of them is kind of over up against a tree, and you can see him occasionally wiping his eyes. And the station keeper is maybe not technically in shock, but it's just kind of like, okay, well, this is what needs to happen. It's unfortunate, but we gotta get the people out. Really kind of focus on trying to bring some order to the scene. Doesn't seem to be super curious. He's more focused on probably what's got to happen with the tracks, how this is going to interrupt transit, all the logistics of how this situation is going to have to be rectified, and less worried about people who don't appear to be injured. Maybe he'll be curious later when he has less to worry about, but right now it doesn't seem to be on the top of his priority list.
Then I'll give him a quick look over and get him loaded onto the cart, and start getting whoever wants to go back to rally around, and ask if Rick's in good enough shape to help pump the cart back.
Yeah, I think he'll probably send one of the boys back with you. So between Cameron, Rick, and one of the boys, it won't be too hard. It is upgrade a little bit, so it's a little bit harder and a little bit slower than it was coming down. But the station keeper and the other boy are gonna start pulling people out. Basically, it'll probably be a while before folks can rally wagons and get them down here. It'll you even hear him saying it's probably going to take all day, but what's important is making sure we get them all out before nightfall. And he'll get into the little chest that's kind of strapped down to the push car and pull out a rifle just in case bear or something else comes on him.
Definitely only bears and other normal wildlife here.
Right. Well, I mean, it won't do if you can prevent it to let people fall to scavengers.
I had to look up on my character sheet. It references a catamount, and I just hadn't heard that particular term before.
You can sometimes hear them screaming in the woods. They sound a lot like women in distress. And horses do not like that sound. I mean, not that people do either, but... All right, well, it's a slow and sweaty trek back into town. I think by the time you arrive, a good crowd of townsfolk have gathered. All that remains is to pass the tragic news and ask some trusted townsfolk to organize a trip to recover the bodies. The good news is none of you are town officials expected or required to take charge of that sad task. So within maybe an hour, the right people have been notified, the right hands have been applied to the task, and you're left to your own devices.
Now, I don't think you three are from around here. Am I correct with that?
That'd be correct.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least for me, I'm not sure of Annie and what was your name? Mora? You're muted.
Muted. New name.
Or yes.
Yes.
I don't think any of us have any. Actually, I definitely don't have a place to stay. Would you know of any place that would hold us up for at least tonight?
Well, I don't know if you had accommodations already. I'm sure there's some place to stay. And I have some room at my apartment. It's above the store. There's a room for enough of you, I think. It'd be a tight squeeze for all three, but I do not offer Camden's weird shack on the outskirts of town.
I was about to ask.
Camden also does not offer.
Well, that sounds fine. So Rick was planning on, convincing someone into giving him accommodations anyway. So this was always part of the plan, regardless of what happened with the train.
Yes, it's by the grace of God did you all escape such terrible, terrible fate. I'm sure that the station conductor, etc., might have a few questions for you later. I don't know if you're hanging around town yet for them to ask. They always want to know what happens. These terrible incidents, like the one in the mine. Like last year, and the year before that, and the one that was 2 years before that. A good run we had.
All right. Well, did the mine collapse or something?
Yes.
Ah, I see.
A different part though each time. You know how it is. Those boys go down there.
Yeah, it was. I guess we got lucky though with the train there. Though Annie thought something was off, and so we got off the train right away.
Oh, interesting. That's right. You were saying something about a warning. How about you all come in for some tea?
Some tea would be awfully nice.
Yes. So
Awful generous. Thank you.
yeah. Irene will probably lead you to the shop. I don't think anything is really going to be that open today because the whole town's all like, oh my God, a train. Except for the mines because, industry. That's okay. I don't need to keep this shop open.
Well, and a fair amount of the population is out of town during the day, and some for multiple days, since a lot of the kind of labor class are out logging and having to push further and further and further to find timber.
So, plenty of time for tea. I mean, go upstairs. It's like 2 rooms because that's the number of that must be fancy because I have 2 of them.
Ooh.
On account of me and my husband, but he's dead.
Definitely dead.
Definitely dead.
What a shame.
Yes. Quite.
They never recovered the body.
They never found a body. He's somewhere in the mines, definitely there. Irene is not very sad about this.
You sometimes hear his voice in the middle of the night.
Absolutely never. Absolutely not. And we'll make some tea and we'll sit down. Some of you have random cups because I don't have enough teacups for this kind of engagement with more than 4 people.
Did they have mason jars back then? Yes, they did. Of course they did.
I would think so. With extra lead.
Yeah.
So you were saying that there was a voice telling you to leave, Annie.
Yeah, the voices. You can't hear them?
No, dear. Most people cannot hear extra voices. That's not what their internal monologue. And I might advise you stop calling them the voices to people because that's what gets you locked up in a house for recovering.
So is that what people were doing previously? I mean, I thought they were just being nice and offering me rooms and stuff. But then they were mad when I was trying to leave.
Yeah, that is what they were doing. I don't much care for it. So we aren't going to talk about the houses, but you might want to come up with a new phrase when you're talking with people who don't care so much. Or
You
do
could talk
care
about
a lot.
intuition. Intuition's a thing.
That's a good one. My intuition is telling me that we should get off this train, for example. That's
your
excellent.
intuition told you to get off the train. And it seemed like it was right. So you have a good sense of intuition, I guess. How about you, Mora?
Well, I'll tell you. I saw something mighty strange before the crash. And I don't really know how best to explain it. And I don't remember what happened next.
Well, how about you try explaining it? Just a bit like, was there another train? I mean, we only saw one, so I guess that wouldn't be it. Was there like a log on the tracks or something?
I don't think it was quite that, but perhaps I'm misremembering. I just got the sense that something. Now, I know this isn't going to sound much better than hearing voices, but I got the sense that something here is angry. Something in these woods out here. And I don't think it much appreciated the train and perhaps what was on it. But like I said, maybe I hit my head.
Didn't much appreciate, like Rick's nice little song that insulted the town I've grown up in my whole life.
Well,
I say smiling. As the person least affected by magical things who is not going to follow anything in this conversation.
Look, sometimes the spirit of inspiration comes all at once, and maybe that wasn't to be the time to be coming up with songs improvisationally. So for that, I apologize.
It wasn't just townsfolk on the train. One of the passengers I saw before it happened, they had a briefcase with that release with that Babcock logo.
Oh, one of the Babcock family was on that train.
Sorry, who are the Babcocks?
Yeah, they'll be finding his body, I guess. They'll probably want to notify the people in town as soon as they do.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to talk to them about it. And to answer Rick, they do a lot of logging in these parts.
Oh, right. So they were one of the companies around here?
A lot of logging, yeah.
In a lot of places.
Okay.
Definitely here.
I think Rick, the name might ring a bell. It's a big operation. I think you've been through some Babcock towns before.
Oh, okay.
I think you probably didn't know about the connection here, but you probably now that you're talking about it, it probably rings a bell. It's like, oh yeah, that one time I was down in Florida, there was a Babcock operation down there.
So it's a big multi-state operation.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of money in cutting down trees.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think I remember who the Babcocks are. I've seen them do quite a bit of deforestation. I've been seeing quite a few of their towns. I believe they're the same Babcocks. Definitely doesn't do much for the view. That's for certain.
As a breeze kicks up, just a sheet of dust that blows across just the endless field of stumps that surround the town.
Oh, you can see the stumps from your Irene's apartment?
Yeah. I can open this one tiny shutter and you can see all the stumps and let all the dust in. Yeah, that's why I leave it closed.
I think if you look out the window, that's what you see from this vantage point. You just see a sea of stumps. Dirt.
And the ground's on fire.
Well, that's back down in the valley where the ground is, where the earth itself is actually burning. It's not burning up here.
All right.
Yeah, it's yet. Yeah. Oh, Camden, I know it must be very hard for you considering the loss of life, but you didn't happen to see a Babcock there, did you?
Cameron, who by the way just kind of invited himself along, like he's got a place that he could go. He just awkwardly following along and
Yeah.
you know,
That's
standing
why
off to
you
the
got
side.
the extra cup of tea, the one that doesn't match.
No, I didn't see any Babcock in there. Nobody as dressed up as one of those businessmen would be. I definitely have problems with Babcock. Like makes my job harder when there are fewer trees around.
They keep wanting to log by your weird shack. You have to keep saying that you definitely own this land.
Definitely mine, and I definitely have papers to prove it. No, you can't see them. Would you like to buy some powders?
Some tinctures, maybe.
Some dandelion wine.
The bottle is on the table in case anyone wanted some more medicine.
Oh, we could
Your
doctor a
tea.
tea with it.
Yeah. It makes it healthy.
I do just my sheer presence does make people feel better. So
That's nice.
if you
Oh.
are on the mechanic side, if you are recovering anything, you just automatically get a d6 points back. So if you spend
Neat.
anything,
I have some
Oh.
speed.
Yeah, I was
Once-
gonna say
once-
this definitely counts as your at least your first recovery of the day. So is that a D6 in addition to the regular one, or is that like how does that work exactly?
if they take the rest, then yes, they additionally get. So it's a d6 plus 1, and just me being around providing remedies provides a d6.
I don't
Oh.
need the second one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think certainly mechanically, given the point spend, within 10 minutes of having some tea and Cameron being around, maybe dropping a little bit of spearmint or something into people's tea, everyone gets their pools back because I don't think anyone spent more than 2 or 3.
Well, yeah, I think we're gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
Just for clarification, for future reference, when you do a recovery roll, you may recover D6 plus 1 in a pool. So like if you've spent might and intellect, you have to pick which one.
Okay.
Got it.
But
Yeah.
this is given how little was spent, we're just saying that everyone's back at full.
But yeah, I guess we're going to be spending our time here, seeing as the trains are all wrecked. I was only planning on spending a couple nights, but I don't know. Maybe we can help lend a helping hand around here. See if I could help you guys with some work. What is it you do? You're a hunter or trapper or something?
I'm a butcher.
You're a butcher. Okay.
I butcher all of the animals that come in. Well, not all, obviously. The different companies have their own stuff, but this is the business my husband had, and now I have.
Okay.
And you only butcher animals.
Yes. Why did you? What's your last name again? It's definitely Roberts and not Todd. We're good. We're good.
And you, Cameron, what is it you do around here?
Medicines, herbs, tinctures, powders. Anything that makes you feel better and makes it easier to go about your day.
Okay, cool. And Maura, you're from here?
Not from here, but not from far away either.
Okay. What are you doing here in town? What was your plan before the train got overturned?
Oh, I was just planning on visiting, seeing if there's any need for my kind of work here. The sort of spiritual kind, you know.
Spiritual kind. Are you some sort of preacher?
Not a preacher. But just caring for those who want to have some kind words for their loved ones or connection to them, or where the good earth calls me, you know?
Okay. Bit more confusing. But I get it. And I think we've established, Annie, your intuition led you here. Am I right?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. I was just going to roll in town and play some music and then I'd be on my way, but that's kind of been upturned. I don't think anyone wants to hear a musician anytime soon.
Well, there will be quite a
Well-
few funerals.
Yeah,
Oh
there'll be
my.
services. I expect some people are looking for some kind of spiritual comfort.
All right, I'll see what I can do in that regard. Hope they like what I have to offer.
I think after a little bit of time, I think the local sheriff will come and probably just shout up at your window, seeing that the shop is closed, Irene.
Stick my head out. Oh, hi, Sheriff. How you doing?
Hey there, Irene. Sorry to bother you, but we're looking for places that we can keep the bodies cold. I wonder if you have any spare room.
Oh, yeah, I think I do.
All right.
Down in the cellar.
Yeah. I figured you might. We're gonna keep it quiet, but we've had word that there's gonna be an inquest. They're gonna
Oh, wow, an inquest, huh?
Yeah, they're gonna send up a railroad investigator and a proper doctor, not knowing that Cameron is in there. Very clearly, proper doctor, just to take a look and confirm everything. So we're supposed to keep them cool for a couple of days until that can be completed, and see if we
weather's
can't.
kind of warm.
Well, yeah. See if we can't get word to families and make sure that if they want to make arrangements. But with the lying down to Parsons out of commission, it might be hard. So we'll have to make some tough decisions. Well, I sure do appreciate it, Irene. I'll have some boys come and take care of everything. Move your goods out of the way and make sure that nothing gets spoiled.
Will do. Thank you, Sheriff. I'll close the window and kind of look at everybody like they probably heard all of that, which they definitely did. Kind of give a shrug at Camden. And I'll be like, it's been a while since we had a real doctor, though. Ever since he died in the mine accident, as they all do.
Don't even know why he was down there.
Well, he actually died in a
was-
sawmill accident.
Oh, that's right. The sawmill accident, obviously. Yeah,
Sawdust caught fire.
it did. Well, he was helping that
That's-
poor
that's
guy
what-
with his fingers. Trapped them all. Anyway, I could use some help moving around some of the product down in the cellar then to make some room then, if y'all don't mind.
Help you out. My grandfather was an undertaker. Sometimes we had to help move the bodies. I hated it, but
Well, in this
I
case,
would-
hopefully it'll just be the meat.
at the time I was only 6, so I'm less anxious about it now.
That's good. I don't think that has any lasting repercussions.
No, obviously not.
I used to help out at funeral homes, but then they let me go because they didn't like it when we laughed at funerals, or people don't necessarily apparently like it when you're talking about their quote unquote dead ones at a funeral. But I mean, I could still hear them. They're like right there, but apparently that's not what they wanted to hear.
Yes, well, most spirits kind of move on after an incident, you know? They don't really linger as your intuition. I say clearing up all the tea stuff to indicate that you're all supposed to come down to the cellar with me.
All right.
Yes.
So I guess you all climbed down the stairs kind of begin.
Mhm.
You know, my guess is you keep larger cuts down here. Maybe some big chunks of ham. I don't know how meat works either. The kind of stuff that you just take in delivery and you got a couple of days, or stuff that can keep for a good, like salted stuff that can keep for a good long while, but you're not going to obviously have it on display.
Yeah, how does refrigeration work? Is it just blocks of ice?
Depends upon where you are. Commercial refrigeration isn't really a thing. Certainly not out here in 1914. So you can get ice deliveries, but you're up pretty high. It gets pretty chilly at night, even in the summer.
Okay.
And stuff will keep a good long while, as long as you've got a deep enough cellar.
Yeah, we tell ourselves this.
Yeah. And all the people that would die from that kind of food poisoning are already dead. So folks tend to have a strong constitution because they're constantly exposed to filth and disease. Yay. The good old, like the good old days.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Back when America was great and everyone had dysentery. Anyway, yeah, I think it's a relatively, maybe slightly unpleasant, but it's a relatively easy process to shift some things around. And about that time, you hear a knock from above, go up and let some townsfolk in. The bodies are covered in, makeshift sheets and bits of burlap. But, they're covered out of respect. And I think they lay 4 of the passengers down like cordwood over in a corner. I think one of the men, townsfolk, who's helping, kind of waits till people aren't looking, but you do catch him, Irene, briefly making a sign of a cross, which is a little bit. Catholicism isn't necessarily the most common.
Yeah. Catholic.
Up here, but no one else seems to notice or mind. Annie, since you were just talking about it, you hear him. You hear him whispering. Not sure if they're whispering to themselves or to each other. But that same thing that you used to get in trouble at funerals, it's very present. It's not disturbing at all, I don't think. I think it's pretty common for you. And I think, Maura, you get a sense that there definitely are going to be some loved ones here in town that want to know, did he suffer? Did she really love me? Where did you bury the coffee tin with all our savings? There'll be some folks who are looking to head over to the Stumptown Saloon and maybe enjoy some music, blow off some steam, put the tragedy behind them, focus on living. Irene, you're going to have to make sure that you keep the cuts straight. Wouldn't do to come up a body short when the inquest comes around. And Cameron, I think you feel pieces clicking into place. I think you almost have a sense of, this is obviously not the only place where the bodies are being stored, but you can feel, even as they're bringing the bodies in and laying them down, that this feels like another piece of that plan, that pattern that's clicking into place. You're still not sure what the plan is or what's behind it. You're probably sure that you wish you didn't know. Probably have an intuitive sense that might not be a good thing for that plan to come to fruition, at least not good for the people here in town. So Maura, Annie, and Rick are staying at Irene's. Irene, you probably even have like a back room downstairs that you could set up a blanket in, particularly for Rick.
Yeah, he can stay downstairs.
Wouldn't be appropriate otherwise.
Yeah.
Quite.
Yeah. And Cameron, are you making the trek back out to your hovel?
Oh, of course. Gotta get the wheelbarrow back. Gotta go and check on how things are processing, not distilling. Be a bad thing.
Right. How your tinctures and decoctions are coming along
Exactly.
in their big copper contraption. Got it. Cool. So I think we see maybe a paradoxically homey scene as Irene is playing hostess. Now, Irene, did you ever have children? So maybe it's not a maternal instinct that kicks in, but there certainly is. I think there's maybe for Irene a bit of a pleasure to have folks around. Maybe not in the long term, but at least for a little bit. Something to focus on, something to be entertained by, some new people to get to know. Cameron takes your leave and gathers your stuff and makes your way out. I think as you, and you're kind of upland from town, right? Kind of up in the hills. I think as you walk that path that you've trudged so many times, you get that feeling, that watchful feeling again from town, just like a prickling, like someone's observing you. You know they're not, and it doesn't feel like you're being followed exactly, but that same unease is very present at your back as you make your way up. I think you suspect you may have some interesting dreams tonight.
That feeling would definitely lead to, another swig off a bottle, or pulling out some homemade chewing gum, and vigorously chewing.
Yeah. And I think Maura. Yeah. I think Maura, you are I suspect Irene has a couch of some sort, right? Yeah, so maybe as the most comfortable place to sleep. Annie's younger and can probably deal with a little pallet on the floor. You've been made up on Irene's couch. Maybe there's a hand knit Afghan that you've wrapped yourself in. You awaken kind of in the middle of the night with a start. A little disoriented, maybe not quite sure where you are. You know you were dreaming. It's right there, but it fades. But you remember like a cheek against your cheek. Smooth, cool. You remember an embrace, not not tender, not friendly, not untoward, but strong, reassuring, maybe. And you remember a whisper in your ear, the words just fading away as you start awake to full consciousness. And then you feel everything, all of your insights just sink. You feel a powerful racking chill across your flesh. You feel a moment of atavistic terror, like realizing that there's a bear in this cave with you. And I think you very slowly, without quite understanding why, creep just up over the back of the couch, just inch by inch, slowly moving towards the little lace curtains that cover the window, looking out on the street. It's full night. There aren't really street lamps. There's a little bit of moon. But you just ever so slowly move that curtain aside. Somehow you knew. You didn't know what you would see, but you knew that you would see something. Standing in the middle of the street is a large, bulky, dark figure. It stands and sways a little, like maybe someone who's had a bit too much in the back room at the Stumptown Saloon. Now maybe got lost on his way home. As it takes a step in a disjointed fashion, there's something wrong with the way he's walking. You see him lift his head as if sniffing the air, like there's some scent and he's having a hard time tracking it. You see the figure turn in your direction, and you swear that where you would expect to see just darkness, the shadow of the eyes, you see two bright red coals flickering. And I think that's a good place to put a pin in it.
Excellent.
Spooky.
He'll be fine.
It's fine.
It's great.
Fine.
It's great.
It's fine.
That was fun.
It's
I'm
not a
just
problem.
alone in a shack out in the middle of nowhere. You guys are
I'm sure it's fine.
all together. It's fine.
You
It's
have
fine.
Chilling
Yeah.
with your distillery.
4 bodies in the basement. It's totally cool. Nothing
Totally
to worry
cool.
about.
Nothing to
One
worry
for,
about.
one for each of us.
Right. For tango lessons, it's all good. Cool. So that has been the first part of at least a 2-part, maybe 3-part exploration of the Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game system, which is a cipher system game. So Monty Cook, there are as Keith and my bookshelf will attest, numerous different iterations from kind of a weird cyberpunky fantasy futuristic to kind of a strange multi-dimensional X-Files kind of vibe. There's a whole bunch of different iterations, but this is an application of what I think is a really innovative system to a really, really cool IP in Old Gods of Appalachia, which if you have been with us for Call of Cthulhu or Down Darker Trails, Cowboys and Cthulhu, you know we love the eldritch here at C Plus Content. So very glad to have a group together to give a different flavor of the eldritch a try. Hey, before we sign off, let's go ahead and go around, let everyone know who you are and where they can see you next. This time I'll start with you, Misha.
I'm Nisha _less than 3 here on Twitch. I don't stream. You'll see me here on Thursday when we continue this, unless I get kidnapped to a hockey game. We'll see.
Not allowed.
Yeah, I blame the Wild for getting into the playoffs. Yeah, Shanks.
I am the Shanks Master General. I might stream one of these days. It'll probably be Celeste, but I'm also a musician and I'm in the band The Dreadnoughts. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. DREADNOUGHTS. Yeah, and I played Rick Schlink. I'll send it over to Capper.
I'm Capper, Capperson, Min Capper, depending on where you're looking. I'll be streaming here. Don't actively stream much, but can find me a lot of places playing tabletop role-playing games and organizing community events. So, Sin?
Hi, I'm Sinner Simple _
Oops.
Oh, we lost you.
_ potato here on Twitch. I stream at points in time whenever the voices tell me to stream. May stream tomorrow because Mermaid is coming up and we gotta do art stuff for that stuff. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. So yeah. I mean, I'll also be here on Thursday too, so there's that. Map.
I'm Mel. I don't stream. You'll see me here on Thursday.
Right, well, we have anonymity. We have unanimity with regard to where folks can probably see us next. So fantastic. I've been Zero Daylight, Michael, DM, GM, Keeper of Arcane Lore, whatever the system requires. This has been Old Gods of Appalachia, and glad you can join us and come back soon to see us again. We'll say goodbye to our friends on YouTube, and this time we'll remember to write out. So goodbye, friends on YouTube.
Bye-bye.